Hi everybody, it's me, Jay Shrink, Jennifer McCray. Um, Today, I think last time we talked about serial killers and how they are not mentally ill. Today we're going to talk about the myths of mentally ill that people have for people who are mentally ill or who haven't been exposed to people who are mentally ill. And also how the way they act and how to act around them too probably would be a good little thing. Um, the media normally depicts when they depict. I'm starting with the media, okay? The media normally when they depict a patient and a psychiatrist, they have that old Freudian couch, white man beard, um, pipe or cigar, and what they do is they go to see this the psychoanalyst. There are not very many of those. They mistake psychoanalysts for psychiatrists. So what they do is they go on the couch and talk about their childhood and their mother, their father, how they did this and how they did that. And they come about 3 times a week. So making that psychoanalyst rich. And also basically in reality you have your psychiatrist. Your psychiatrist is your psychopharmacologist. That is, they do your medication management. Basically what they'll do, they'll spend maybe 10-15 minutes asking you about how you're doing. Are you having any pitfalls? Are you doing fine or something like that? And after those 10 to 15 minutes, they're going to go ahead and refill your medication. They'll ask you about that first. And if there are no problems, they'll refill your medication. Or if you're having side effects, they'll change your medication. So it's not at all like on TV, okay? The psychiatrist is not a psychoanalyst. And they're only going to see you like 10 to 15 minutes and make sure that your medication is working properly. So that's another thing that really irritates me and anybody who is in the mental health field. Not applying the different roles appropriately. Okay, 8 minutes, y'all. My arm hurt. Okay, then we have the we talked about the mass murderers and people thinking that they're mentally ill. Basically they have personality disorders. They're not mentally ill. And also the media also errors in the fact that they confuse the psychotherapist with the psychiatrist. Like I said, the psychiatrist is there to do medication management, see if that medication is working properly, if you're doing all right. But if you're having day-to-day problems or chronic problems with depression, bipolar, or PTSD, or what have you, anxiety, you go to the therapist, psychotherapist, And psychotherapist is usually the master's level, a social worker, psychological professional, counselor, any of those things. They're the ones that give you therapy. What they normally do, well, what I use, my form of therapy that I give is called cognitive behavioral therapy, and it's based on how you let one event affect your whole, existence. Say you're in a car wreck, and you're trying to get to work on time, and and you get angry, frustrated, and all that, and that doesn't help anything. So what we teach you is to get some coping skills in there, so that you could be doing something productive while you're in the car waiting, because just building up, anger is not going to get you anywhere, but road rage, and that's definitely not going to get you anywhere. So you just think about, when I'm going to get out of here, I'm going to focus on this, I'm going to focus on that. So that's what I do with my therapy. When I see clients, I do cognitive behavior therapy, and it's very effective. It's been proven effective of at least 75% of the time. But other counselors do other kind of things, and other social workers, they do other they may just do talk therapy and nothing else. So the psychiatrist is not going to give you psychotherapy. You're going to have to go to one of those master's levels professional to get therapy, and that's usually once a week when you go. And another thing they say about the mass murderers, they have a history of psychological problem, a history of mental illness. They're a smaller part of the population of mentally ill. The vast majority of mentally ill people are not going out and killing people indiscriminately. They are so isolated in their own mental illness. If they kill anybody, it'll be themselves. Okay? So there's this history of mental illness. That's the media just irks me when they say that, because there's so many mentally ill people who are highly functioning, and you wouldn't even know if they were mentally ill. That you wouldn't even know they were mentally ill. So just ignore that when they say stupid stuff like that. That's like sensationalism, to clickbait, and the media talk about the drugs, specifically Prozac. Prozac make you crazy. Prozac will kill you. Prozac will do this. Prozac will do that. And they don't know, it affects people differently. Maybe some people are not able to take Prozac. They may have to take Paxil for their antidepressive disorder. For the depressive disorder. So watch when they talk about, and usually they'll talk about that. They'll talk about that when they talk about the history of mental illness, and they'll talk about the medications and the hospitals and the places, the facilities that this mass murder had been to. Okay, so we're going to talk about the 11 myths of mental illness. Okay, number 1, mental health problems don't affect children, and any problem they have growing up. No, that's not true. Okay, I've had children as young as 3. One boy, he had PTSD. He was living in Watts, and it's gang infested and cops and EMS. He was 3 years old, and he had PTSD. He would run under the couch. Under the bed if he heard anything that resembled the sound of a siren. And I had another one like that, 3 years old, PTSD. That one was here. He basically did the same thing. They're living in the hood and they're having PTSD. And this little boy also had ADHD. So they could have ADHD as young as 3. Okay? A lot of people don't believe it. They think that it's using a child or trying to a doctor trying to use the child and trying to over medicate the child when the child's just growing through illnesses. When a child is not growing through illnesses, when they hear sirens and they go round and around and they put their hands over their ears and go under the bed. That's a serious PTSD problem, okay? And they are 3 years old, okay? But mostly it occurs when you're a teenager or a young adult, especially depression is adolescence, and bipolar normally occurs during the college years, and schizophrenia also during those years. But it doesn't make any difference. They could still have that at age 10. So it just depends on the person, and their brain chemistry. Okay. It's the parents' fault if the children suffer from mental health problems. On the whole, that's not true. But if they come from a dysfunctional family, then they'll have mental illness problems. But mostly it's environmental, genetic, and biological, imbalance of the brain. But a highly dysfunctional family can, cause mental illness problems. Child neglect or some type of sexual abuse or whatever. Okay. People with mental illness are psycho, mad, dangerous, and should be locked away. People with mental illness, especially the depression and the anxiety, they normally, if they keep on their medication therapy and psychotherapy, they function perfectly. Okay. So they have different. Even if you like me, I'm on psychiatric medication. Now, you're still gonna function. You're not going to be the same day to day, even with the medication. Some days, you'll be sad. Some days you'll be a bitch. You just never know, okay? And all schizophrenics are violent. That is so not true. Most of those schizophrenics, especially the ones on skid rows, those are the ones that those teenagers play the knockout game and stuff like that with, and kill them and injure them. But a small percentage are dangerous, but on the whole, schizophrenics are not dangerous. Okay. So depression is a character character flaw. Snap out of it. You cannot snap out of a chemical imbalance of the brain, no matter how you try. You do not have control of your brain. So it is not a personal weakness. You are not weak or lazy. All you need is therapy and coping skills to go through the day. Um, okay, addiction is a lifetime choice and a lack of willpower. That's not so. Uh, people, okay, most people I've been around, they have what you call dual diagnosis. Basically what dual diagnosis is a mental illness problem being masked by a substance abuse problem, be it alcohol, be it cocaine, crack, opioids, heroin, or whatever. So basically they start by masking the pain. And and that's environmental. And And because of this, they usually have their own little group because they have unique problems, the substance abuse and the mental illness, that they're using to mask the mental illness. So it's going to be a little bit harder for them because the stays are harder, the therapy is harder, and a lot of the people come, through the courts, so, and they have probation officers and stuff like that. So that's with that. And number 7, ECT, that's electric convulsive therapy. It's painful and barbaric, and it'll make you lose your memory. Do you remember the movie Jack Nicholson, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? And Jack Nicholson was McMurphy. And they could never get a hold of him. He just did what he wanted to do. So anyway, at the end, they went ahead, they took him off, and they gave him ECT, electric convulsive therapy. And they showed that after that, he was like a zombie. But I've also heard from people who say that it works for them. It doesn't give them amnesia or a zombie-like behavior. They go every maybe 2-3 months. So it depends. It won't work for me, I know that. But it works for a lot of people. Okay, people with mental illness lack intelligence. This is the one that this just pissed me off to no end. Do you know how many books people with specifically bipolar disorder, what I have? I'm one. I'm a highly intelligent, creative bipolar. People with bipolar are extremely, most of us, well, let's say half of us, are very creative. I write, I do workshops, I do a lot of things. So I'm very creative. So, but people with mental illness, schizophrenia. Remember, what was it? A Beautiful Mind, John Nash. He was having his hallucinations when he was doing that complicated math. So a lot of mentally ill who are bipolar and schizophrenia are geniuses, So I've been creative all my life. Another thing that people don't seem to understand. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna use an example here. We'll say Mary Ann. Mary Ann has bipolar anxiety disorder, and She's right now, she's living in a HUD house. Okay, Marianne's living in her house. Okay, and the people at the HUD house, they don't understand that the mental illness that Marianne has also has to do with her housekeeping. Mental illness and housekeeping. A lot of time, a lot of people, bipolars, they do better when they get really manic. They clean, but others are not. Okay, they're like Mary Ann. They get depressed. They don't feel like doing anything, and there are other people around who are less intelligent than Mary Ann. Mary Ann is very intelligent. She just doesn't like to clean and stuff. So anyway, the manager would or anybody would confuse intellectual abilities, that is how smart you are. They'll lump that in with the mental illness, and they do not have anything to do together. If you just heard what I said about Nash and Marianne being at the top of her game, she was a VP at an IT program. So people don't understand. They think, oh, well, she should be able to keep her house clean. I mean, I'm just regular and I could do that. My child, I could do that. Marianne's, disability prevents her from doing that. Cognitively, and that's mental. It doesn't have anything to do with how smart you are, or how clean your house is, or how clean it should be, or whatever. That does not have anything. That's the mental aspect. She's still gonna be smart. Marianne's still gonna be able to do those things that she normally does, and it's just people just don't understand that aspect of mental illness. That it's not developmentally disabled. That it's not that. So okay, so we say they're intelligent. I'm sorry. Oh, and they need to work. Specifically, the ones we talked about with the intelligence and the education, like Marianne, she needs to go to work. She does not need to be sitting in the apartment just doing nothing, because she'll relapse if she do that. And employers need to know that as long if they hire someone with a mental illness, as long as they take their medication, do what their doctor says, they, especially if they're like Marianne, they're highly creative, they can do wonders for your department because they're creative. They can come up with suggestions nobody else think. They can think out the box and everything. So that doesn't have anything to do with their intelligence, and they do need to work. If they're intelligent and have skills, they need to work. They don't need to languish, with people who are not very productive, in these kind of apartments. Okay, thank you. And let me see. People with mental illness never get better. Okay, they don't get cured, but they get treated. If they in the psychiatric aspect of things, a lot of times a person has to go through different medications before they find the right one that'll make them function, better. So it's just really the medications and the therapy together that'll make them, that'll be good treatment for them, and that'll make them functional. If you have any questions, comment, subscribe. I shall see you later. Bye-bye.